Now the latest ITV news in the Anglia region.
Hello, good evening, welcome to a special programme from the beating heart of the Biomedical Campus here in Cambridge, Royal Papworth Hospital.
This is a place where many thousands of lives have been saved since it opened its doors 5 years ago.
Well, tonight we get special access to go behind the scenes to find out just how they're coping with the pressures facing the NHS.
"5 years since they treated their first patient at their new building in the city, and 45 years since they performed the first UK heart transplant, Royal Papworth Hospital faces new pressures.
Every day you have to triage what you can do, what are the priorities, what needs to be done. It's a job where things change very rapidly.
We meet the team who keep this pioneering hospital ready to operate.
Every piece of equipment has got to be maintained to A1 condition. Ultimately, if we don't do our job properly, patients could come to serious harm.
And we'll hear from those who owe Papworth their lives.
And when you look at a hospital like this, Papworth is renowned for being like one of the best hospitals in the country.
Hello from Royal Papworth Hospital. Almost exactly 5 years to the very day the first patient was treated here in the region's newest hospital building.
Yes, it cost £160 million to build, and it's at the heart of the Cambridge Biomedical Campus. And in fact, we have a live drone up for you this evening, so you can see exactly where we are. We are at the centre of the site, surrounded by Addenbrooke's AstraZeneca, the Heart and Lung Research Institute, and soon to be joined by the Cambridge Children's and Cancer Hospitals.
Absolutely, but look at this. Come round here with me and Becky and just look at the size of this atrium. Just look at it. We're getting waved by some of the staff there. Good evening. How are you? They've been very nice today, letting us film in here, getting ready for tonight's special programme. And this atrium is big. The key word here is space. When they designed it, they really wanted to make it feel spacious and airy and light.
Yes, you can tell they had the patients at the heart of this design. It really feels lovely. And there's even a little piano we just walked past. You know, people have been tinkling away, haven't they, this afternoon?
We haven't, but other people have. And that space here, of course, when someone's had a transplant, very much aiding the recovery, speeding up the recovery, is wandering around and getting your strength back up so you can go home and recover more.
Yes, and one of those patients that's benefited from the expertise here is up on Ward 3, the cardiology ward on floor 3, and I'm about to go and chat to him. He came in yesterday, so I will see you in a little bit. Thanks,
Kat. We'll catch you in a bit, Becky. And later in the programme, we're going to speak to some of those amazing people who've made Papworth the pioneering hospital that it is, and as Becky said, some of those staff and patients. As we mentioned in the beginning, we know all too well that there's so much pressure on the NHS, huge waiting lists and demand as well. Papworth isn't an emergency hospital. There's no A&E department here. What they do have, of course, treatments, transplants, surgeries, and Matthew Hudson has been behind the scenes, been given some rare access to find out just what makes this place tick and how they're coping with that pressure.
Hi, Carol. Hello. You okay?
Staff nurse Nancy Kabamba provides regular reassurance for Carol Lawrence from Takeley in Essex. She wasn't expecting to end up at Papworth. 13 years after beating a rare form of breast cancer, she was told it had returned as specialists found cells which had spread to her lung.
It was a very invasive, severe one, so I felt I was lucky to get past the first stage, you know.
Surgeons removed the cancer cells. Now Carol will wait for tests to determine the next steps for treatment. As waiting rooms go, she's quite happy with the one she's got.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing since I came here.
While Royal Papworth doesn't have some of the pressures faced by general hospitals, it treats around 50,000 patients each year, performs more heart and lung transplants than any other UK centre, and has the best survival rates in the UK for cardiac surgery. Carol's stay is almost over. But many patients, like those waiting for transplants or on the cystic fibrosis ward, are here for a long time, presenting a challenge to keep beds free.
You have to triage what you can do, what are the priorities, what needs to be done. It's a job where things change very rapidly and you might need to deal with emergencies.
Put a fifth patient in.
Each day here begins with a ring round by bed managers to find out how many patients may be leaving or moving, how many replacements are possible. That feeds into a meeting with operations managers from departments including cardiology and surgery and transplants. It will have a big impact on what they can achieve for patients. On the traffic light system, this day is already red at the top alert level.
There are some days where, unfortunately, we just have a lot of sick patients in critical care and we can't discharge enough. That does lead for challenges around trying to identify who is the right patient to go into theatres and what surgery we can actually undertake.
Down in the basement, you'll find the tunnel which links Royal Papworth with Addenbrooke's Hospital. You'll also find Martin Ward. His team of 9 engineers is responsible for repairing and maintaining more than 50,000 pieces of often extremely high-tech equipment, ranging from thermometers to heart-lung bypass machines.
Every piece of equipment has got to be maintained to A1 condition. Ultimately, if we don't do our job properly, patients could come to serious harm. We are pretty busy all of the time.
Martin's dad was an early heart transplant patient in the 1980s. Since then, treatments have changed and people are living longer.
But sadly, a proportion of those are living with much more complex comorbidities, and that undoubtedly generates demand.
Papworth isn't like most hospitals, but it does deal with significant pressure. And like the NHS across the country, their collective goal is to deliver the best care possible.
Absolutely right, and Matt joins me now. Matt, good evening.
Good evening.
Goodness me, 30 years you've been reporting on hospitals in our region, the old Papworth site, this new one. How are things different from your perspective?
Well, I won't pretend that I was at the opening of the original Papworth back in 1918 when it was a tuberculosis hospital. But yeah, I've been reporting on Papworth for maybe 30 years. And years ago, we would go to the old site and we would hear about the groundbreaking transplant procedures that they were pioneering there. But increasingly, we'd also hear about the plans that people like Professor John Wallwork had to build a purpose-built hospital. That I was lucky enough actually to come here several times while it was being built, so I could see it taking shape into what you see now, which is a jewel in the crown of the Cambridge Biomedical Campus. And over the years, I've met so many patients who have had maybe 20, 30 plus years of healthy life, people who were dying when they came in here. And at the same time, we know that behind the scenes, some very clever people are working on the next generation of treatments.
And I imagine whenever you get a new news release from this hospital, it never ceases to amaze you what they're doing.
It genuinely does. I look at them and I think, my God, you can actually do that now, can you? And I know for the people who are doing this work, it's just what they do, saving people's lives. But for people like me, it's still science fiction, to be honest.
Matt, it's great to see you. Thanks ever so much. We know you'll be back here very soon. Thankfully reporting.
I'm hoping so.
Not as a patient. Right, talking to patients, Becky's with one right now upstairs.
Yes, as we have been hearing, Papworth isn't an emergency hospital, but it certainly deals with emergencies every single day, including heart attacks. And I'd like to introduce you to Durga Shah. Durga, thank you so much for welcoming us into your room this evening. Now, Durga lives in Peterborough, and yesterday, Durga, you were feeling unwell, weren't you? And you thought you had gas.
I'm feeling unwell, suddenly cardiac arrest around 2 o'clock. Then soon after I went City Hospital, Peterborough.
Yeah.
There is no enough facility, so they transfer here. Once I come here, I see their work is so good, professional are so good, doctor are so good.
Yeah.
They take care of me like a special care. I am so happy.
You certainly look remarkably well for someone who had a heart attack just yesterday.
Yes, anyone suffering like a heart attack like me, for them this place are very, very special.
Yeah.
I recommend them.
Well, that is a recommendation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you have to stay here maybe another couple of days. You've got a bit more treatment, haven't you, Durga?
I will stay hopefully probably another 3 days. Then my treatment will over. I will go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, the nurse in charge here is Abby. You're doing wonderful work.
Thank you.
It's very calm here today. That's probably not always the case, is it?
It does feel calm. I think it's a very organised, we're kind of specialised and we know what we're doing, so it feels calm. We get busy days, but it's overall a very calm environment. It's lovely.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. So Durga came in yesterday, and obviously you will see a lot of cases come in like that. What is the protocol when someone like Durga comes in?
So it's either an ambulance crew or a referring hospital, and they'll come via our PPCI pathway, which is our emergency pathway. They'll go to the cath lab and they'll get a stent fitted. I mean, Durga was here within an hour, stent fitted, and kind of unblocked the artery. Yeah. So he's
Just
feeling
incredible.
better after that. Yeah.
And our nurses and doctors across all of the hospitals in our region do amazing work, but sometimes they just need more expertise or specialist equipment that you have here, and that's why people end up here, isn't it?
Yeah, we're a very specialised centre, and our PPCI centre is kind of renowned. So, and the care and the team here are really excellent.
How long have you worked here, Abby?
I've been here 4 years now.
4 years, wonderful. Well, thank you for all that you do.
That's okay.
And also, Durga, I have to say a very special thank you for allowing us in. I hope that your family and friends are watching at home in Peterborough, and they're feeling much better about seeing you looking so well.
I think so. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Back to you, David.
Oh, great, Becky. Thanks ever so much. I'm glad to hear Durga is doing so well. Only had a heart attack yesterday, and today being looked after, and Becky being able to chat to him. Amazing recovery goes on here, and a lot of that recovery down to the incredible advances in medical pioneering, really, that goes on here. Next door, the new Heart and Lung Research Institute. It's the largest research centre of its kind in Europe. One of the things they're looking at are treatments for millions, to stop the millions of people losing their lives every year from common diseases. And one thing they're looking at in particular is early detection of cancer through a simple blood test. Ravina Gatura has more.
6 years ago, Veronica Forster from Peterborough was successfully treated for lung cancer. She had a small tumour removed and can't praise doctors at Papworth Hospital enough.
The tumour was a hair's throw away from the spine, so it had to be done really carefully, and they'd done such a marvellous job.
She's one of 800 people taking part in a study led by doctors here.
It's going to be sharp scratch.
They think a blood test can give clues about whether they're at risk of new cancers developing.
If you take a blood sample from someone who's had a cancer or has cancer, you can see the cancer DNA in the bloodstream. Hopefully, when we've removed the cancer from someone, there'll be no cancer DNA in their bloodstream. But if they start to develop a second cancer, the DNA will start to appear again.
In the early 90s, the long-term survival rate of patients with lung cancer was only about 5 or 6%. It's now more like 21%. But research now shows that lung cancer survivors have 2 to 3 times greater risk than the general population of developing another primary cancer in the 10 years after their first cancer was diagnosed. The study is funded by a £2.5 million grant from Cancer Research UK and is taking place at NHS hospitals, including the Norfolk and Norwich and Chelmsford. For Veronica, a blood test is daunting, but also reassuring.
There's always going to be that little bit of doubt. Could secondary cancer have started? But nothing that would stop me from coming in.
The results of the study won't be known for several years, but everyone's hoping the science will save lives. Ravina Gatora, ITV News.
Absolutely. What fascinates me is that research is being done in the building next door. Becky's back. Hello, Becky. Durga sounded good.
Yes, he's wonderful. I spent some time with him in his room this afternoon, and he's so smiling and full of praise. You just couldn't imagine that he had a heart attack yesterday, but it's so calm, and all the nurses are up there, and the doctors are just wonderful. Yeah, hopefully in 2 days he'll be home.
And they do make you feel very calm, don't they? Yeah. It does feel like that now. I know there's not many people in the atrium tonight, but it does feel very, very calm. Yeah. And we're going to speak to more people later in the programme who owe their lives to Papworth.
Yes, but first let's get the rest of your day's news. Here's Tanya.
Some more of your day's news now. And a driver who killed a woman in a crash near Cambridge has been jailed for 5 years. 34-year-old Yuri Chumak from Peterborough was driving along the A1303 near Bottisham 2 years ago when he hit another car. The driver, 24-year-old Holly Lucas from Newmarket, died at the scene. Her mother said she would have had a glowing future. The latest consultation on plans for a 110-mile row of pylons has taken place in Gislingham and Suffolk today. There's been strong opposition from those living along the route from Norwich to Tilbury. National Grid has agreed to put some of the cabling underground but insists pylons still make the most economic sense. Hollywood star Damian Lewis says he's looking forward to taking to the stage at Latitude this summer. The actor turned musician has a home in Suffolk and has been touring the region ahead of the release of a new album. Football now, and Ipswich Town can take another big step towards Premier League promotion tonight, providing they avoid defeat at Coventry. Town need just 4 points from their final 2 games to guarantee their return to the top flight after 22 years away. It means even a draw tonight would put promotion in Ipswich's hands, with all but relegated Huddersfield to come on Saturday.
We know we're going to have a fantastic away end. We're coming off the back of a great game on Saturday. We've got a home game on next Saturday to look forward to. This is our last, game in front of our away fans, and we'll look to give everything we can in terms of the performance to try and get a result to make everyone happy.
And a boat got stuck under a bridge in Chelmsford yesterday morning. Workers could be seen trying to shift the vessel on a low loader. It was freed within 10 minutes, but this Facebook video has been seen more than 500,000 times.
Well, welcome back to the Royal Papworth Hospital. 5 years after they first opened their doors at this new building, and 45 years since they performed the UK's first heart transplant here.
You know we're definitely at the hospital because you can hear the sirens right now. And this duck pond behind us is a replica, a tribute to the original Papworth. And the idea was at Papworth Village, once you'd had a transplant, if you're able to prove that you could walk around the duck pond, you were then well enough to go home. And one of those people making sure you were well enough was Professor John Wallwork. I'm going to do your accolades first, John. 40 years ago, 1984, Europe's first ever heart and lung transplant. 2 years later, the world's first heart, lung and liver transplant. Goodness me, I mean, there are quite some records. And when you come back to this place, your legacy is here. 5 years now this place has been here.
Oh, it's fantastic.
What's it mean to you?
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, this building and the people in it are the most important thing that I've done for the last 10 years. I mean, getting this place built and getting the Heart Lung Research Institute built as well is so important. It's just wonderful to see it 5 years afterwards. And in fact, today has been the first fine day we've had for a long time, and we moved on a fine day. So there you are.
There we are, 5 years of being here. And when you think back to that work you did, that pioneering work 40 years ago, did you ever believe the advancements would be so great in those 4 decades?
Well, at that time I was a young surgeon doing surgery. I mean, nobody ever thought that I would do any administration or any management, but in fact that's been part of my life for the last 10 years, and this is the legacy of that time, along with all the other people who put a lot of effort into getting this done.
Now, you retired in January.
Yeah.
Has it been hard for you to kind of walk away from here?
It's been interesting. I walked away properly. I decided not to interfere, although I'm here today.
Not interfering?
Well, not interfering. I've done 10 years of doing what I did as chairman of the hospital, done what I've wanted to do, and I think it's time for other people to look at it and take it over and to get advancement for the future.
And I have to say as well, John, thank you for the region, because so many people look to Papworth for excellence, and a lot of that is down to you. So thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much
and
indeed.
Enjoy your retirement. It's lovely to see you again.
Thanks very much
for being
indeed.
with us. Thank you, John.
Yes, John really is a legend, isn't he? Well, someone who knows this hospital very well, perhaps a little bit too well, would we say, Chik, is Chik from Camborne. And you were here back in 2020. You were very poorly, weren't you? And you had almost 3 weeks in hospital here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I caught COVID, and I was admitted here in the April of 2020. And basically, if it wasn't for Papworth, I'd be dead. I wouldn't be here today to tell this story. So, it's a wonderful place, and it's a place that really, not only saved my life, but saved many other lives as well.
Yeah, and you're a nurse yourself, aren't you?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And it's not just, as we were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Chik? It's not just the critical care that you received at that time, but but the care that they have given you afterwards that hasn't just saved your life but has enabled you to go out and live it.
Yeah, that's correct. I think there's one thing about when you're living hour to hour, minute to minute, day to day, trying to survive and being treated. But once you're out of the hospital, there's so much more that the hospital actually do themselves. So all aspects of my recovery, from having being here and going through clinical trials, which is also part of the research, and then over and beyond that, out into the community, being involved in aspects of parent-patient care groups and things like that, just to continue working not just with the physical side of my health, but my mental health as well.
Which is really wonderful to hear. And you have a sentimental link to this hospital, or Papworth, because your father, who was a doctor, was also treated at Papworth.
That's correct, yes. He was at the old site, and he had excellent treatment at the time, and so yeah, it's very much a family connection, and this place means a lot to all of us. So yeah, very grateful for what Papworth did for all us in our family.
Yeah, that really comes through. And I know that you're thinking of going back into nursing. I really hope you do, and maybe the next time I see you, you'll be working here.
Yeah, certainly, hopefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks a lot.
Fantastic, and great to hear those stories as well. And we feel very blessed that we've been able to come here today and be very well looked after. Got to read you this message. We put it on X today that we're doing this programme today. Chris Harris sent us a message back. Thanks to Papworth, I'm still here. Well, Mr. Large, the surgeon, and his team played a big part. We're lucky this hospital is in our region. My goodness, you don't want to have to come here, but if you do, you know you're going to be in the best possible hands.
Yeah. Well, Chris will be here with the weather shortly, and we'll also have the national news after that. But we wanted to leave you this evening with the voices of those who really owe an awful lot to Papworth.
Absolutely. And thank you, Papworth, for having us here, and thank you for joining us. Take care. Good night.
Bye-bye.
It's like everyone's a part of the family, part of a team pulling together.
The staff's brilliant, so they are, and the hospital, spotless.
The whole hospital setup is fantastic. It's how you feel a hospital should be.
The surgeons, the consultants, the physios, the occupational therapists, the nurses, even down to the ladies that bring you your dinner at night, they're all so friendly, so happy, so jolly. They just keep you going.
They realise that you're in a unique position, that you could be here for a week, you could be here for a year, so I think they understand all the effects that are going to go with that.
I've got a heart problem, you know, and I'm here and it's going to get fixed, you know. I'm gonna get better.
Whether it's the cleaner or the consultants, this is their work. They're doing it day in, day out. For you, it's the biggest thing probably that's going to happen to you in your life, and your nerves are probably up there. But when you find that you've got these guys looking after you, I do think that does take it down a bit.
Thank you to everybody at Papworth.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.